Okay, so take two at this. I'm now calling this, obviously, Risky Christy isn't a bowler. Um, let's see, reference to the Big Lebowski. So, Risky Christy said that he wouldn't have ever thought to shoot up the transformer at a substation. Uh, like I said in the first version of this is my savant skill. You know, everybody has what they do or whatever. I'm good at looking at a thing and figuring out how to take it down. And this started when I was a kid. I'd fucking like take apart mechanical shit or whatever. I'm very mechanically inclined. Being as such, I don't know how to fix your fucking car. I know how to build you that car. Well, not that car, but a better car. Or I know how to destroy it. And I know how to destroy it because I know how to build it. And this is like, what do you mean you know how to build it? I know how an internal combustion engine works. And, you know, making a fucking frame and putting an engine in isn't that hard. And like, modern vehicles suck something fierce. You could pretty easily make improvements. It wouldn't be that hard. Like, honestly, my plan after I get land and get the shop built and everything is probably van 2.0 I'm going to build myself. And I don't know what that's going to be like. Probably some sort of crazy solar powered something or other. In any case, this is like I'm a fucking mad scientist, wizard, blacksmith. I can turn dirt into swords, quite literally. Feed me your problems. You know? You want to know how to take out a tank? You know, we were talking about the power grid before, and I really don't want to talk about that much because, like, it's a sensitive subject, and some of what I say could definitely have consequences for people, and I don't know. I don't want to have that on my conscience. But in general, like I was talking in the last one when it got cut off because I was out of fucking camera memory, I was talking about taking down a tank. And taking down a tank is like taking down anything else. You have to figure out where its vulnerable spots are. Everything has vulnerable spots if you study it long enough, if it's made by man. Like some things maybe don't, like a rhino. Rhino doesn't really have very many vulnerable spots. Okay, so like there are some things that don't legitimately, but they're few and far between. And especially technology. All technology has so many weak spots. I don't even know where to start on that shit. Let's go back to the tank though. It's like the example I had before was you can blow the treads off a tank and immobilize it, right? A lot of people don't know that with nothing but a handful of plastic explosive, you can completely destroy a tank. Okay? I was talking before about some of like the heating and cooling shit and the engine shit on the back of most tanks. Okay, there's a fuel source there somewhere. It's usually armored, but if you get a big chunk of fucking something somewhere close to that, probably going to do some real big damage. It's definitely going to knock them out of the fight, right? And this is the thing with any machine is you don't necessarily need to completely destroy a machine. You just need to keep it from doing whatever it is doing. So if it's a fucking tank, what it does is it moves and it shoots things. So mobility kills are what I was just talking about. The other way you can take out a tank as a saboteur, again with a chunk of C4, is by shoving it down the barrel of the tank and setting it off. No more fucking gun, no more fucking tank. It is still a threat because it can move. Believe it or not, the tank without its cannon is still a threat more than the tank without its ability to move is. I would much rather face a tank that had been immobilized and still had a functional turret than one that could move and had no turret. And like this is, you need to know a lot about the thing that you intend to go after. I talk about tanks here because it's something relatively calm that we could talk about destroying compared to other things, right? But that's how you should approach everything, is what does this machine do? What is critical to its function? I'll also add that in general on machines, if there's something that is heating or cooling something, that's important. If it wasn't important, it wouldn't be doing it. Okay? Like, it's some of those, like, it may not kill it immediately, but this is like the true devious nature of a saboteur is maybe you don't want it to fail immediately. Maybe you want it to fucking seize up when it runs out of oil. And like some World War II era tanks, that would cause them to become a 10-ton land block or roadblock, you know, like Saving Private Ryan. Because if they're fucking seized, at least on a lot of like the German tanks of World War II, there was no fixing that. Especially not while they're being shot out by Americans and shit. You need to think about what you're going to do. It's not enough to just have all this shit and not ever do the mental math of this. This is the difference between an officer and an enlisted man. And if you are on your own, as I assume anyone following Christy is, you're going to have to be your own officer. Or link up with people that fucking know this shit. And good luck with that. You know, this is half of my thing is, in the end of the world, there's going to be some group of dudes somewhere. And I'm going to just float in amongst them and be the good idea fairy for a minute. My ideas are pretty damn good, usually. The good idea fairy keeps you alive. And like, I don't mean the good idea fairy like, oh man, we should go take that hill. I mean like, okay, so you want the hill. Let's think about the hill. Where would I be if I was going to shoot at the top of that hill? Okay, are there people currently on the hill? Are there people at any of the spots where they might shoot at that hill? Like, I'm going to overthink the thing to death. It's anything, right? And I can do that in about 5 minutes on some things. Some things I want to take days on. But like some things I can make a decision like that real fucking quick. And it's one of those like, when in doubt, violence. Always when in doubt, violence. When it comes to like, hey, we're under pressure like that, if it's better to make a bad decision than no decision. And that's a fucking fact. Attack. Do anything. Don't just sit there and do nothing. It's maybe not the wisest to always just fucking automatically counterattack. But it's very Patton. I like Patton. Patton also gets a lot of people killed, though. But he wins. And like at a certain point, it doesn't matter if you fucking lose people or not. If you fucking lose, you know? Like, oh, we kept everybody alive, but then we all surrendered and got sent to fucking Guantanamo Bay. Or some fucking hell place worse. And you go look at prisons during the first American Civil War. Andersonville and shit. Know that that's the fate that awaits you. This is why you might want to think some things through a little bit. And, you know, if you're listening to Risky Christy because he's giving you good information on, like, rain gear and infantry shit, that's awesome. I can't do as good of a job of that as what he does. I would like to start doing videos on other, more, this kind of shit minded, but I'm a little bit worried about, yeah. He's putting out infantry kit shit. I want to teach an officer's course, basically. And the officer's course, I would definitely be qualified as some sort of a terrorist organization. You know? Like, you're teaching people what and how to do to make a difference on the battlefield. That's what an officer does. Okay? They can defend themselves a little bit, and they know the bigger picture. Your jobs as infantrymen is to keep that person alive. Their job is to keep you alive. It's a symbiotic relationship. And, you know, if you are one of those people that is like, man, I would never have thought to shoot a transformer. Well, this is why you aren't going to be in charge. And, like, I'm probably not going to be in charge of shit either. But whoever is in charge is going to be listening to somebody like me. Because not everybody knows everything. And most people are not shady, mechanically inclined fucks who can scrounge and fucking a lot of other shit, man. Like, I'm handy. I know, I'm also kind of fat and slow. That's, you know, that is what it is. That's been my whole fucking life. And everybody's whole thing has always been, you can't run away. Well, I've always found out that, like, either I get captured and I have a really bad time, or you die. You know, and the dying part's not happened yet. Every time that I've ever fucking not been able to run away from a fight, I usually ended up just talking to people. You start talking to people, you tell them, hey, I'm too fat to run away and I'm armed to the teeth. What you want to do about this? Usually they just go, okay, you can go. Anyone who's fucking coming to kill you, at least this is my supposition, anyone who is like that should be the type of person that sees you standing there with your guns going, I'm too fat to run away, let's do this. And he respects that too much to kill you. That's what I've found in life. It's like, you know, I don't want to die tired. Let's get it over with. When you're saying that wearing a pair of 45s, like, I don't know, a lot of people question things because it's one of those, like, we're real close together. He's wearing a pretty professional rigged gun belt. What if he's good enough that he kills me too? Because he's going to shoot at me, not my guys. You know that shit's running through their head too. Anyway, the fucking saboteur shit is a whole class in and of itself that I don't think can be taught on the internet. Not really. There are books that I would encourage you to get. I'm not going to say the names of those books. You should go to a gun show and find a table full of books and ask the dude selling the books which books to get. It's a short list. He'll sell you all of them. Support your local gun show. Don't buy that shit online. Don't get on lists. I've been on every list since I was born because I'm an Oklahoma hillbilly with guns who was raised by Marines. I was already fucked. That's half of why I do this. I kind of figure, like, I'm the canary in the coal mine in some ways of whether or not the government's really concerned about us or not. Because, believe it or not, I have no ties to them whatsoever. Despite being trans and talking about all this shit on the internet, I really am just kind of crazy and don't care anymore. So, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do officers' classes yet. I keep doing these videos every day because I want to put out fucking content. But eventually, I'm wanting to do fucking shit with a whiteboard and just talking fucking various, like, squad level, platoon level tactics that really haven't changed much since World War II to Vietnam. And I'm going to cover, like, what we did in World War II, our conclusions from World War II and Korea, because in Korea we basically did all that shit again, and then what we did in Vietnam, and kind of run that through to maybe end at Vietnam, because really, our stuff now has changed, but the stuff that's changed it is, like, instead of using the M60 as every machine gun, we've been using the fucking saws, and M240 Bravos is kind of a different thing. And now we're getting away from that and going to something else. And, like, I don't know. Covering World War II to Vietnam is a good fucking history lesson of shit that, like, The Vietnam tactics of the U.S. military are what pretty much everybody in the world employs. It's that German shit from the end of World War II with assault rifles and a fucking medium machine gun or general purpose machine gun, whatever you want to call it. So I don't really see a reason to teach much outside of that. I would probably like to teach some more modern shit, but to be honest, a lot of the more modern shit that's worth teaching is probably SF stuff, because the other stuff really, like I said, hasn't changed. At least I doubt very much that infantry school has changed much from 1975 to now, and that's saying something. Don't get me wrong, there's differences or whatever. But at least some of this, like, historical context and basic tactics and fucking, like, how to conduct sabotage, how to assess what your enemy is doing. I think these are probably important lessons. How best to marginally disrupt what the enemy does. You know, a whole class on what you should be doing. Like, there's a whole bunch of people that have watched the movie Red Dawn a couple times, and like, that's, you know, they'll go shoot up fucking supplies and airplanes and whatever, and like they have no plan other than that. I don't really have a plan much other than that, to be honest, but at the same time, I try to be aware of everything possible, because it's like one of those things that knowledge is power, and your abilities as a senior NCO or officer in a squad of fucking kids will matter a lot. And what Risky Christy is teaching you, and what I'm trying to communicate to you here in a failing manner, I guess, is basically, if you are the oldest person there who's had the most experience and everybody else is a fucking teenager, you're probably going to be de facto in charge. And do you really want to have the deaths of teenage kids on your fucking mind? Like, wouldn't you want to, like, be as smart as you can be, know as much as you can know, like, read as much as you can read? Like, this is the shit that haunts me at night, man. It's one of those, like, I'll never be in charge of any army, probably. But I might be in charge of one or two dudes and myself going and doing something. And even at that, I will probably try to fucking take care of those two dudes. That's assuming that anyone on the side that I would actually fight for will talk to me because I'm trans. Like, there's this thing in America where, like, there's legitimately a large portion of the conservative part of this country that does not get that there are fucking transgender people. There always have been, like, cross-dressers and trannies and drag and all the rest of that shit, and that shit shouldn't be drug in front of your fucking kids. What they're doing is despicable and disgusting, but at the same time, like, I have a right to exist. I don't do surgeries and shit, and I don't fucking do a bunch of shit in front of kids. I'm just me, and I'm kind of a weirdo lesbian that likes her cat and her girlfriend, and, you know, I'm sorry that I offend you, I guess. That's been my kind of reaction to a lot of the anti-trans bullshit. And I think it's interesting how many trans women are like me, where, like, they're interested in guns and the military and all this shit. It's a dichotomy. And usually I find that the gun interest thing comes from wanting to defend themselves. The military interest thing comes from, hey, I want to go get surgeries and hormones and whatever, so let's join the military and get that shit paid for. And we need a job, and they'll pay us, and that'll help us figure something out like that. There's a lot of people that I think are going to end up being lifers and career people that are fucking trans. And they're going to be doing jobs that Risky Christy or whatever probably shouldn't or wouldn't fucking do. There's a lot of people that make the machine work that are fucking like cogs behind a desk that do supply. Those people are going to be fucking trans as shit. Betcha. There's a part of me that wants to go fucking see if they'll give me a commission in the Navy and fucking supply. To be honest, they might be that desperate. I've said that a couple times. I've also thought about asking the Air Force if I could man an Arctic weather station. Because basically, I just want a commission. I think it would be fun to actually have one. It's on my list of like life goals. I wouldn't want to work for Biden. But I kind of think we're all going to die anyway in some Putin nuclear fire, so fuck it. You know? I don't know what the right answer is. But my grandfather was a Marine Corps officer, and he tried to teach me everything that made him what he was. And that's kind of what this YouTube channel is. Plus me ranting at the universe like a psycho, drinking heavily and talking about guns. I'm trying not to drink as heavily. Like, I'm joking about that a little bit. But like, at one point a year or so ago, I was kind of boozing it a lot. And I stopped. And I don't know. I never really stopped. I would like have a margarita whenever I wanted one, but that's like, you should understand that there's a big difference between cracking open a bottle of vodka and just not stop until it's gone and having a margarita and going home. I don't know why I'm talking about that now, but like, if you go look at this channel, there's a lot of crazy shit on here. If you're gonna be the fucking person keeping those kids alive, you're gonna have to be a little crazy, probably. You're gonna end up that way. A lot of what I do is, you know, I'm used to not being in the fucking real world because of shit I've done. I like kind of being fucking out there in the fucking wild, whether it's in Mexico or fucking just off grid someplace. Doesn't fucking matter. Africa even. I love Africa. Anyway, point of all that is, I don't remember. This has gone on too long, though. I'm trying to like wind this up in some sort of creative way. But as a result of liking being in the wild, it's rough for me to be here amongst the fucking suburbs. It just is. I need way less fucking alcohol or weed when I'm not here. I think this place kind of sucks. I know, that's not everyone's opinion. It's my opinion. I like this place because my mom and grandma live in it. And I kind of figure it's going to collapse. Whenever it collapses, I'm going to hope that there's more people like me trying to rebuild it than there are people like Joe Biden. If you're wanting to learn whatever it is I have to teach, you know, I feel like fucking Master Roshi on fucking Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball or whatever. If you ever watch that show, it's like some old dude that lives in a fucking shack on a beach and obsesses over titty mags and girls. And he can also, like, just summon his chi, transform into a giant, and shoot giant energy balls with his hands. You know. Pirate. That show's a kind of a fucking trip, man. If you've never seen that shit, highly recommend. But I feel like Master Roshi, though, because, you know, I look humble or whatever. It's not... The things that make me dangerous are not really physical. I happen to be pretty tall, and I really am a fucking girl. Like, my arms are weak as fuck now. I used to do blacksmithing, and, you know, basically, I have a genetic disorder, and I have all the hormones all at once, and because of that, I had, like, circus freak strength, but was, like, weird as fuck. It's weird. That's why I am trans, to be honest. There's several routes I could have gone, and the girl part makes me happy, and the, you know, it's kind of like a fuck the world. It's definitely like a fuck them thing, because, like, I've always been me. I've always been kind of a chick, and I've always been the person that's talking to you now, too. Which, if you go back and look at any of this fucking channel, you'll see. I don't think I've mentioned politics all the time on here until recently, but, like, it's become relevant. Highly relevant. My goal with these videos is to have a cache of shit for my nephews to watch so that they might get a piece of what my grandfather gave to me. If this helps you in your whatever it is that you do, good. It's not really meant for you, but that's like the second goal of this place, really. You know, I really think that we're watching like the end of the world. And as such, I'm hoping that there are people in the gun community that think like I think, that have arms like I have arms, that are capable of being dangerous. It sickens me to see society today where you're not allowed to be dangerous. You know, if you're getting bullied at school and you beat the shit out of the bully should get expelled, and you should get a fucking, like, page in the school paper. That's not what happens now. Now you both get expelled. Does that tell you everything you need to know? It does me. Like, if you didn't get the message that fucking high school had to deliver in this country, which was basically that violence is not allowed ever at all, that's just not an acceptable thing, when in reality, no, it definitely is. In fact, I think that mutual combat should become a thing again. It is a thing in some states still. If you and I really fucking hate each other and we really want to go at it with swords to the blood or to the death, that's us, man. Like, we both went into it willing participants. We knew we might die. Like, these are American values. That's what I like to push here. I also happen to be transgender, and I would also like you to understand that, like, there's always been some of us aren't pieces of shit. I don't know why there's an evil pedophile cult misusing trans women. Seems like they're our enemy. They're my enemy. I'm tired of getting told by fucking Republican jackasses whose side I'm on. It gets really old. Anyway, if you found this video through fucking Risky Chrisky and are still watching at this point, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later.